we open up in an underwater location, picking up from where we were uh, at the end of the last session. The first arrival into an entire kingdom that uh, half of the council, well, a little bit more than half of the council, has been taken to somewhat by surprise. I believe uh, Gav and Len both still carry injuries from the sirens.
No, I don't think Len. Oh yeah, did Len take damage to get Rosa out of the way? I think I forgot. I thought he just got grabbed and
I
dragged.
also believe you told me that I had a dramatic wound as well.
Oh, okay. So I think it wasn't Len. I think it was Runa
Okay.
and Gav,
Yeah,
as well
Gav definitely got scrapped. Got a
Margot also has a fairly deep like mark from the claws of the sirens. Um, and it's as you're sort of like arriving and get this first sort of like panoramic view of like the coral castle, and also like what fills the landscape. It's not just like sea creatures and reef and yeah, that because there are in and amongst the area the wreckage of ships that goes back longer than the history of humanity itself. There are ships like all the way back from Newman times. There are ships that are, more recent than galleons and that sort of thing. But there are also ships that don't look like they were made by human hands. Um, you can see, I think Rosa is the only one who has actually seen some of the Cernith ships that were being like ridden around by the insectoid creatures. But there's like one that's like fully crashed into a reef and covered with barnacles, but you can still recognize the shape of it. And there are other things that are down there that are uh, just as alien in their own ways. There's something that looks like a single long spine, possibly of metal, with three rings that are around it. And it's large enough that like an entire human crew could like stand along the spine itself, but no clear sense of like how it would be piloted or controlled. And definitely in human design. And in and amongst all of these things, there are fish like swimming in and out. There are octopi kind of like hiding inside of the coral and peering out curiously. There are sirens that are swimming openly and kind of almost challenging anything in the area to come at them. They seem like in a lot of ways the chosen apex predators. Yeah, Bucko very much has it. It's the flexing of, come into my territory. Um, and ahead of everyone walks Marith, the creature that has come to their rescue that looks human but seems very inhuman in many other ways. She wears nothing but seaweed. She's beautiful in a way that sort of like is hard to look away from and also hard to look at for too long. Um, as Rosa is stepping forward, there's a moment that happens to everyone where they they feel a wave of magic passing over them, and the entire palace disappears. The And for Rosa, the difference is the starkest because she's suddenly gone from like an undersea palace to standing on the battlements of a castle, looking out over Vidachi, a Vidachi dock, where ships are beginning to return, and she can see the battered remains of knights, of crusaders that are coming off of the ships. And she realizes, like, as she kind of like looks down at herself, she realizes that she's once again in her grandmother's body. Um, this is after the marriage. She can kind of still feel the scar lingering on her chest, even though it's like now years later. She can tell that she's born children, and uh, there's a way that her heart sort of clutches as she runs down towards the ships, that she can feel the fear and she can feel the blood racing, that is not just like the athleticism of movement. She is suddenly almost panic stricken as she watches like one injured knight after another coming off of the ship, as she sees injuries that are have resulted in like lost limbs, and she knows not only did they lose, but they lost decisively. Um, and uh, the Marietta is calling like Vincenzo, Vincenzo, and pushing people aside. That most are naturally moving out of the way. She still has the reputation that she has, but she's moving fast enough that most can't respond. And then the crowd's kind of finally apart, and you see the same man that she stabbed with the dagger and bled with. Um, there's sort of like a flicker and like a sense of relief at seeing him, even as he's like being carried on a palanquin. And Rosa can tell that like while she can normally feel everything he can feel while he's awake, he's not, and she didn't know his fate. Um, and she kind of her face pales, and she looks to those that are standing around, and immediately begins to demand to know what happened. Um, and they're doing their best to like explain it to her. You can feel her hand like tighten around a dagger at her side. Um, and rage kind of flicks to whoever is delivering her the bad news at the moment. Um, and she keeps sort of fighting it back. As it's explained that the crusade into the Crescent Lands had initial success, but then they were lured into an area that they were not equipped to fight in. They fought in the desert against the Crescents, and the armor of their horses, the armor that they wore themselves, all of it worked against them. They were exhausted by the time they actually were face to face with the Crescents, when they came upon them and like rode in circles around them, refused to fight fairly. The knights repeat that several times, like that they didn't just engage and get hacked apart as they were supposed to, because they were wearing lighter armor, curved blades, and unarmored horses instead. They were instead picked apart by bow fire and exhaustion and blood loss. And Vincenzo charged himself into the ranks of the Crescents, and brought down a heroic number before being brought down himself. And uh, the second is like, we offered surrender to get his body back, and found that the Crescents, with their medicines, had been able to keep him alive. And Marietta's tone is absolute ice as she looks at him and she says, "You offered surrender." And you've never seen someone so thoroughly intimidated in a moment that it looks like they might just have like pissed their shiny armor. But the crusader that absolutely like stands, like a foot taller than her, he looks like he may have. Um, and there's just sort of like a moment where things go blurry, and you are inside of the room that you have seen her do great magics in before. And it's like an enormous room with a star painted in the center of it, and at each of the corners of it there are different um, uh, or sorry, not a star painted in it. Like what it looks like is sort of like a stylized cobweb, with a single like radiant point. And along the way, there are different sort of spokes that are statues of different, you're guessing ancestors. You can see like different fate witches that are carved, and the painting on the ground is creating some sort of like ritual space. As you watch her begin to work magic, um, you see like the lines of ice start to like run along the webs, and the image of crescent faces start to like appear in the air around her. At first, it's like who is she targeting? Like those that fought the commanders, And then as you watch like faces and faces go on, it seems like it might be like an entire royal family or something like that. And as it continues and continues, you realize that uh, Marietta is, she's not trying to wipe out the Crescents who harmed her husband. She's trying to wipe out the Crescents. Her magic is trying
Oh.
to erase a nation.
Oh. Oh, that's not good.
And you see her, like she starts to like lift her hands, and you can see the same sort of spider webs that are running down your arms, and you watch as like lashes rip down them, and you watch as like new bloody lines appear going up to her elbows and then towards her shoulders, and she just kind of she screams silently but like keeps her focus, and you can see her eyes are completely black, um, and her face is contorted with rage. You're no longer sort of like inhabiting her as you have been. You're just like a witness. And Rosa feels a hand on her shoulder, um, and she feels a presence but can't see who it is. It's ghostly and ephemeral, and you watch as the lines of the spider web, they move out from this ritual space and they start to like crack the building that she's in, and then they start to crack every other building on the island and extend down into the earth. And you can see everybody on the island is freaking out. You watch as like those same lines kind of like travel through people, and they seem to like fissure, and like crystals of ice sprout out of their body, and they just die in like a blast of viscera and gore. Um, as the buildings are collapsing, the island itself is beginning to shake, and nothing can sway Marietta. Nothing can convince her to stop. And then in a moment, fate just like rips out of her, and you see black threads extend in every direction and touch every single person on the island, every single like, and the island itself is just sort of like swarmed in them. It's a vast cyclone of it that all extends from Marietta, and you watch as Marietta's body falls, and the ghost of her stands over her own corpse and watches her island sink into the ocean, with nothing but rage on her face. Um, and you hear a voice in your ear. Uh, a woman with an Avalonian accent says, "You will understand why we cannot allow her to be here." And suddenly you're standing back in front of the Coral Palace, and there's a ghostly image of a beautiful woman. She is also wearing nothing, but there's like a shell on her shoulder and a crown that looks like it's made of like the spines of different sea creatures or sea plants, not like spines in the like vertebrae sense, but like parts of
Mhm.
plants that are stiffer and they've kind of formed like um trying to find a good word for it. I don't want to like use Sauron, but like the idea is like sort of like spiked. Does that make
It's a
sense? But it's all,
tiara.
yeah, it's a tiara, but it's
Mhm.
like long reaching. Does that make sense? And
Yeah.
there are like waves of hair that sort of like float around it, and you can't see her arms, you can't see her lower body as she meets your gaze.
Yeah. She remembers she doesn't have the journal on her since grandmother laughed at her when she was under the water. Um so she can't go into the Crystal Palace.
The queen says, "You are welcome." She is not.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's fine. She then continues to walk like she doesn't
And
see the difference.
And there's sort of with each step there's suddenly sort of like a lurch, and then another, and as you realize as you're walking, like what is happening is you're losing your ability to perform magic while you're here.
Oh.
as she like takes step after step, she can like it feels almost as if it's like being pulled out of her, and just a reflexive like look over her shoulder, and she can see that ghostly image of her grandmother almost floating back and forth like a pacing, angry animal at the edge of the bubble.
Yeah. She's gonna keep walking. As hard as it is, she's gonna keep walking.
And Rosa knows that there's going to be anger for that.
Oh yeah. She already knows, like, she's in trouble because she got rid of the journal. Like she's just losing it all. Um
Or gaining herself back.
yeah, true.
Um, the As Rosa walks and she looks at the others, she can see that Lan and Runa and Margot and Gav, they're all sort of they're walking kind of almost automatically, but like they're not here. They're not seeing the world and like the pathway of shells that's under them. They're in their own little spaces. Rosa is the first to emerge.
Yeah. She doesn't want to interrupt whatever is happening to them, because if it's something like what she just went through, she gets how important it is, and she's just going to try and catch up with them and see how long she can be without the ghost of her grandma.
The How does that freedom make Rosa feel?
Slightly terrified, because especially right now, she knows she can't reach any of her magic this way because it is so tied to her. And yes, there's a freedom to it, but at the same time, there's a fear of, who am I without this?
And the the spectral figure that has like been speaking to her like moves a little bit closer, and she can feel, and she closes her eyes and she just seems to like inhale deeply. And there's a moment where you see fear and terror and also a bit of loneliness like cross her face. And then her face like schools itself and is sort of back to a neutral and emotionless. Um, what has brought you here?
We've come to help someone, Hans Upman. He was put under a spell, and we attempted to awaken him with a potion that we weren't sure that we knew what it did.
She nods in understanding. What is your connection to the revolutionary?
I had thought a friend, and when I had found out that he did not like me for as I am, we that friendship, I guess, was severed.
And there's sort of she leans in and there's sort of a push and like what are the strongest feelings she has towards
At the moment, understanding. She wants really hard to understand him.
uh, the a hand reaches for her face and she feels the touch. And there's a moment where she like sees the hand and she realizes that like it's not human. It's a close facsimile, but there's like an extra set of joints in the fingers that make them just a little bit too long. Um, and the same with the thumb. And then Rosa is suddenly in. Has Rosa ever visited Vendel Lands? Did she have the language when she arrived in Freeburg, like when you first started playing her?
Mm, no, she had Fidelia and Eisen.
So she's seen a lot of like Vendel style building inside of the Merchant's Quarter. And the place that she is in is a far cry from that. It is the most primitive huts she's probably seen. Um, they're kind of built along a really rocky shoal, and it looks like a large portion. You'd say like the majority of this island was destined for farming during the seasons when it's available. And it looks like it's an island that has been farmed at extreme um, with an extreme amount of effort on the part of the farmers. It's hard rock to break. It probably doesn't grow particularly well. It's northerly enough that the season is extremely short. And so like most of what is being farmed is like turnips and small ground vegetable, like ground growing tubers and stuff like that. And uh, she also hears laughter. Um, and as she kind of follows the voice, she can see like there are three children like playing out in a yard. And uh, she sees a very beautiful young Vestan woman, and uh, Hans is like he's hard to recognize because she's never seen him young before. And what she sees is like a 20-year-old Hans Upman. Um, very much a Vestan, um, and kind of like bantering. She doesn't speak his language, but she doesn't need to speak it to see like what's happening. Hans is with his wife. Hans is with his children. He's like working on clothing that looks to be like fit for a jarl or a warrior or something. Um, and the uh, the children are kind of like driving his wife crazy. And he just finally kind of like releases them like go out, be back by eve. And she doesn't get all of like the language, but they like zoom out the door and you can see they're climbing and being energetic and like they're at an age where like they just never want to stop moving. Um and the it's as kind of like peaceful and serene as the moment the next one comes as a shock, as like Hans is being held by his throat, and there's a bloodied axe in the hands of the man that holds him, and she can see the runes of a scourgeon crawling up his arm and along his neck, and his eyes like flickering with lightning. And in the background, she can Rosa can see Hans's family, like she can see the remains of them, and the entire village like burning around them. Every single part of it has like been put to the torch, and uh, he is shaking his there's like a blade like held in his hands, and the Vestin who's holding him just laughs, and like even like bares his neck and leans in, and you don't know the Vestin word, but you know from the sound of it like what he's doing is calling Hans a coward, um and giving him a chance for a strike, and the weapon falls from Hans's hands. He he feels, you can see in him the sense of like powerlessness and fear. And there's just a quick, hard slide of the axe like in between Hans's ribs. And he leaves him for dead. Uh, and Rosa, like the next moment she sees is Hans with like the tears streaking down his face, his skin covered with ash and black, as he's like wrapping the remains of his children and his wife in the burned out husk of the village that he was in.
Yeah, she understands.
What is her emotional reaction to seeing it?
It's this feeling of she understands what it is for someone to take away your family. Just in a very different way. And it's Rosa wants so badly to now speak with Upman, not just as, a Strega trying to get someone to understand, but as a person who wants to kind of reach out to him and talk to him about his own loss, and as someone who has lost herself.
The woman that has shown her things, has seen her visions, um, steps back, and Rosa, like with a glance down, she's not wearing anything down here. Like her clothes were cut off by Len in the last episode. It's the first time she's realized since she started taking steps that she does not have any of the spider webs anymore. The marks of the fake lashes that she took.
Yeah, she might start crying at that, actually.
And she feels that sense of like the woman leaning in towards her again, and like once again seeming to like almost inhale whatever it is that Rose is feeling. Um and her eyes like shudder for a moment. Is it a combination of like relief, or is it grief, or
Relief. Because as much as Rosa didn't want to say it to Len, she was so afraid to lose herself to her grandmother.
and the woman says, "It has been a long time since I have tasted happiness." And she runs those like two long, too many jointed fingers like through Rosa's hair for just a moment, and then disappears completely. And that's where we're gonna move to introducing everybody. Uh, Let me just do my thing where I'm opening. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to the Shadow of the Wachtturm. Our producer tonight is one of the moderators of Dirty 20 Gaming, the delightful and compassionate Candle Gloriosa. Our lore master for the series is the beautiful and benevolent Syndra. Before we get started, I wanted to give a content warning. While the spirit of 7th Sea is swashbuckling adventure and shadowy intrigue, the story will deal with mature themes, including death, loss, suicide, and grief. Eisen, our setting, is recovering from a 30-year civil war of religious differences. It may get dark sometimes, and there's no shame in bowing out if it's not a place your head can go at the moment. moment. So without further ado, I'm going to have our savvy swashbucklers introduce themselves. And I'm going to start with Rosa.
Hey y'all, my name's Sarah. I go by Sans on the Discord. Tonight you will see me as Rosa. Strega, who's finally finding herself again. I am here. It's gonna be 5.5 days a week pretty soon. I am in our Monday game. I will let our DM talk more about that. I am on the Tuesday game Cyberpunk Red, Carnage Heights, as Hecate, Magic, Broken Heart of the team. I am in our Wednesday game Mask, Oracle Force as Nightwish. Somehow I'm the leader there. Thursday, our City of Mist campaign, Deviant Paradox. I am the DM for the chaos over there. We are on hiatus at the moment with that show. We will come back soon. And I am working with the Scar Adventurer on stuff and things that'll come out eventually. And there are the links. Oh, I forgot this one's Jumpy. Gav.
Who's muted?
It's my turn to fucking forget. All right, I am Bison _ Stonefist. I'm here. I'm here. The power went out and actually came on like 5 minutes before the game started, so I'm here. I am here 4 nights a week. I'm a regular contributor on this channel. Tonight I am playing Gav the Grin, our big lovable not so dumbass. On Tuesday nights, I am the clown responsible for trying to run Carnage Heights. It's really just the break line's been cut and we're all out of chew, buddy. But it's fun. I love this crew. But I can't wait for the finale. Things are starting to get to an actual finale, so we'll see what happens. I say that, but it'll probably be another 6 months. On Thursdays, when we are back, I play Garrett Sakes, the leather and spikes punk, just so we actually have a difference between the two punks on the show. That's on Deviant Paradox. And on Saturdays, when we're able, we run a Starforged campaign called Starsworn. That's four players, four GMs. They're all the same people. None of us know what's going on, and we just sort of wing it. It's a lot of fun. I play Calvin Scooter Hobbs, who's also known affectionately on the channel as Big Scoots. He is neither big nor scooting, so we'll see how that actually works. But yeah, let's throw it to Runa next.
Hi, I'm Ruth. You found me. I am here. I am here on Tuesdays as Exit, every other Wednesday as Trek, Thursday as Nora, and today as Runa. Grab and vegetable. That's great. And I'm gonna pass it to Len.
Hi, folks. It's me, Fat Kyle. You found me. Thank you. You can find me here on Sundays playing Len, the ass of everywhere he is, all the time, forever. And if he's really passed through, he's just the ass for that, too. Costin, who is currently under the sea. Under the sea. Darling, it's better down where it's wetter. Just take it from me. Besides that, coming up starting not this Monday, but next Monday, the 4th, I'll be doing a little Call of Cthulhu inspired mini-series called The Printer's Devil with our wonderful dad of the channel, Kevin, Janet, and yeah, with Sans. So that's going to be interesting. We're doing rules light and maximum creepy. or at least that's the goal. Otherwise, you can find me either in one of the other games, chats, being a total menace and trying to break as many of whoever happens to be playing at that time as possible. Or you can find me on the Discord posting unhinged food memes, some of them incredibly unhinged. I'm very proud of those. That aside, I'm probably in somebody's Twitch modding for and bullying them, and that's mostly what I've got going on. So over to Rory.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rory. I am here tonight on this wonderful Sunday evening playing Hans. Who the hell knows where his life is going next? That Mr. Leg Day soldier boy himself.
You!
Yeah, you can also find me here every other Wednesday night playing Graviton on Oracle Force. Very fun. You should tune into that. And you can find music outside of Dirty 20 gaming stuff. You can find music I've made on SoundCloud, hopefully other platforms eventually. Distribution's a whole nightmare. And starting this week, because I'm going to actually upload last week's set, you can find the full recordings of every episode of The Basement, the stupid, kind of goofy, improvised DJ radio show thing that I do every Friday. I didn't do one last Friday because birthday week stuff, but coming up this Friday, we've got a couple hours of house music and probably some silly made up sponsorships. That's about all I'm up to. So I think, who has not gone? Is it just Honorine that has not gone? All right, well, in that case, it is over to Honorine.
It's me. Hello, I'm Gloriosa. I play Honorine tonight. I am our friendly neighborhood noblewoman / single lady. So trying to get that fixed at some point, but like adventures keep getting in the way, and there's this whole Herald of Doom thing, and so there's that. I'm here 2 other nights a week producing for the lovely Thursday game, which I love, and the wonderful Wednesday game, which I also love. I love all my children equally. And I'm also on the Discord just chronically every second of every day. Stuso, what are you up to?
I am running this fantastic game on Sundays and also working on a play-by-post game that will be under D20. We just got some history up, and I don't know how many people have had time to dive into it yet, but, you know, I'm happy to provide a dictionary for people from time to time. All right, I'm going to jump us straight into what is going on under the ocean as well as above it. So, however, in the ancient days of Numa, the great storyteller and philosopher Ceres the Wiser once noted that an adventure can only begin in one of 3 ways: by death, by slur, or by letter. To begin with, one of these incitements is folly, tobacco best described as an indiscretion, a dalliance, an escapade. But fear not, we begin tonight, properly girded, with a letter, the most seductive of the 3, and thus the most powerful. And in this particular case, the letter that we are flashing to is actually the letter that's in Len's hands that details his orders from Drago. From the Gaius Ilya to assassinate General Montague in the lands of Usura. There is the familiar cold of winter wrapped around him. And he knows that a moment ago he was like undersea, but he's once again in like the familiar place of like being surrounded by the crew of ne'er-do-wells and spies and, you know, certain loyalists that he, in the coming years, will see die, will see make their own fates, will see, you know, become expatriates of Usura all over the place. Um, and he can even tell, he even knows which ones are going to die in the battle coming up, which ones are going to, catch a bullet through the throat, which ones are going to, and there's like the bullet that he knows is going to take his own bear's ear. Um, and the uh the moment just sort of like stretches out. He's not like suddenly, appearing in that conflict. He's appearing in this place where once he felt like he had no choice. His duty was to obey. And now he knows the consequences of that obedience and what will come of his life after that.
He does. It was probably the biggest turning point in his life when he realized that loyalty and obedience meant absolutely nothing to the people above him, and he could be thrown away at a moment's notice, no matter how valuable he thought he might be, no matter how much he might have hoped to matter.
Um, the uh, the letter turns to dust in his hands. Um, and he is like for a moment there's just a sense of like thousands of choices that he could go and fight alongside Montague. He could turn on the Gaius. He could just leave and go to Freiburg on his own without that anything behind him. um and uh the the moment that he's there, he like and all of those choices are there. He's suddenly being looked at by the bear that he knows from like the missing year, the experiences that he's gone through. He also sees all of like the signs of injury and recovering wounds from the most recent vision that he had, that he's still been like carefully bandaged and wrapped.
Len's gonna start checking the bandages of the bear's scratch.
um Yeah, and the bear just kind of gives him like the kind of affectionate headbutt that like would half bowl him over. Like it's not a headbutt, it's more like that, like the way animals like kind of
Yeah, the
give
nudge.
the brush. It's just, he weighs over a ton, so
Yep, yep. He's like, I'm sorry I could not be there to defend you, my friend.
and the the bear says, uh, I serve Matushka as you do.
I know, but I really hate that guy. I really would have liked to have been able to stab him in the throat.
Says the wolf has been a treason to Matushka for a long
Yes,
time.
there hasn't been a true Gaius up until recently. Uh, I fear for my country, I fear for my people, and I fear that I will never see them again.
We come to bear you a message this time.
Is it doom? Because I get a lot of these.
He shakes his head. He
Okay.
says, no. He says, but where you travel, you must do so without your connection to Matushka.
Oh, here with the Fey folk, the fair folk. Yeah, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Um, but I'll be back.
He says, you will. He says, when you return, her favor will return. She withdraws it now. He
I'm sure
says,
there's
but she is not displeased.
no, I'm sure there's some sort of agent treaties or requirements, things forged well before man was doing more than kind of
This
wondering if
is
maybe fire might be a good thing.
none of those. It is simply a token of goodwill.
But close enough. It's gonna be a little weird, but it's not the first time this happened.
Says, I just wanted to make sure that you knew Matushka has not lost her trust in you.
No, I appreciate it. I would have probably freaked out a little bit at first. I can't not be a cat sometimes again.
He kind of laughs. He says, being dead is nothing than being a bear.
Yeah, but it takes a lot more work to be you, buddy. I gotta tell you, it's not easy, and we kind of don't want people to know.
He says, I go to sleep for months at a time. It's so exhausting being me. I understand.
But that, yeah, see, you get it. It's a good guy.
He
Why we
kind of
worked
reaches
out
out.
so
He puts
well.
a massive paw on Len's shoulder. And the he can feel the connection to the bear and into the other animals, like pulling back. And he steps out of vision and out of the Kolabusur and into the unfamiliar like water air of this place. Rosa is the only one who seems to be kind of cognizant of like what's happening around her. Gav and Runa are still distant and watching. And what color are Len's eyes without the green in them?
Without the green one, they're a very cobalt blue.
Um, so yeah, I wanted to bring that up because, I'm sure Rosa would notice that quickly.
Yep. And you just kind of blink for a moment, rub his eyes a little bit. Oh, that's weird. That's weird. I'm not sure I like that. Rosa, love, how are you doing? I think we're the only two who are here and here right now.
And he wouldn't see any of the webs, right?
Well, she's not wearing anything, so all of the webs are gone.
Yeah.
Oh,
Doesn't
oh
really
yeah.
have much to cover herself with.
No.
Len will take off his shirt then, because of course Len was wearing a shirt when they were dumped in the ocean, and of course Len's going to take an opportunity to get shirtless in front of the ladies. Yeah. But he'll give Rosa his shirt, which should be big enough that it serves at least as a down to mid-thigh tunic on her.
I want to say yes.
Sounds about right. So he'll just be like, "Oh, well, let's first do that," and then it's like, "Well, I don't see any of Grandmama's marks on you right now, so I'm imagining that what happened to me happened to you."
I have no connection.
Same. Are my eyes different? I've always wondered that.
They're beautiful. The blue.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
The um the place that Runa finds herself is the the sort of moment right after she like her face kind of like snaps back from uh looking into the bowl that the crone had presented her, the one where she had her vision and the one where she first saw um the ruin, the rune of ruin, which is a fun tongue twister. As everything sort of like drained out of her and she was unable to see. And like wasn't herself and wasn't inhabiting herself. Um, but instead of uh seeing what happened during the interim, um, it's almost like watching the world around her go backwards. She sees her mother's ship sort of like sailing away, but like sailing backwards. Does that make sense? She sees the sun and the moon going the wrong directions in the sky. Um, she sees herself disappear, but she's like at the same place, the same mountain, um, and the same elderly crone that never seems to grow older or younger. Uh, and she watches travelers and visitors and Scaregin come and go and come and go and come and go, like crawling aside, sometimes falling to their death. Not everybody makes it. Like, not everybody passes this test. Um, and the person that she sees appearing over and over again is Herge himself. He continually climbs. He continually like moves to the bowl. He continually gazes within it. And she watches him peer, and she can see like what he sees in the bowl. She can see uh the the fall of the Gaius and the arrival of the new Gaius Ilya in Usura. And then she like goes back and rewinds, and she sees the birth of Emperor Leon as still, King Leon of Montaigne, and she sees him watching the conflict of the War of the Cross, the 30 Years' War in Eisen. There's hundreds of events that he's witnessing and watching, and in each of those like events, she sees him arriving within his own vision briefly into that land. King Leon's birth is literally marked by Ruin stepping foot into Montaigne.
Whoa, dude.
That about sums it up.
Sorry, I was still calculating, but I was like, I should react.
No, it's fine. She for once though, he doesn't seem to be like reacting to the fact that he's being observed. Does that make sense? Every time she like watched him through the bowl or through Scaregen magic, he was immediately aware.
And aggressive about it.
And
He's kind of
things
obsessed with you.
She continues to watch like time backwards and backwards and backwards. She watches like literally like the fall of Numa and the collapse of that empire. And things continue to reverse. And then the it's just the crone there and Runa there. As she sees somebody climbing up the side of the mountain, and it's everything slows down. It's like suddenly in real time, as she can hear their efforts and their exertion as they're making their way up. And the uh the person who's done it is like a young, in their 20s. Their beard is very full, but the thing that is most marked is like the eye patch, and like there's bloody, um dried blood still running down their cheek. And as you look down, you can see that they arrived here not by like proper ship, but by the equivalent of a rowboat, which means that they took a rowboat through like open ocean, which Runa knows that that's not a high chance of survival. That's um and he looks up and looks a little bit surprised. And one look from Runa at him, she understands that this is the High King. This is the first High King who will unite all of Vesta. And he will fight every Jarl. He will bring them all under him. And he is himself imbued by Odin with wisdom and sight. Or perhaps will be, because right now he looks a little bit disturbed. Um, and he looks to Runa, and he looks to the crone, and he asks, "Who am I here to see?"
I don't know. Seems
and
I've been here a little while, though. So I must be waiting for you.
He bows his head and he rubs at the eye patch that he's wearing. Um, I do not understand this, and I do not understand what has become of me, but I know I am not what I was. I am more, and I am less. I have seen myself here, and I have come here seeking purpose.
We all come here to do?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Isn't that what we all come here to do?
He says, I don't know. I don't know what this place is. I have never heard of it before. And he kind of like he looks down to her side to where there's like blood from like the siren attack. And he just sort of instinctively like takes a step forward and he touches her side. And you watch him like and her wound disappears and it begins to bleed from his hip.
You didn't have to do that.
Says I didn't know I could do that.
I have the same ability.
Did you teach it to me?
I don't believe so. This might sound sorry, this is time shit. Um, this might sound crazy, but I am from farther in the future. Something weird happened and I ended up back here.
Says I have been plagued by visions of the future. Says
Wachtturm.
of the world coming to an end. Says of a tower shattering.
You've seen it too.
He nods. He says, I see it shatter. He says, and then I see the sky fall.
What's your name?
Um, he says, Odin. And Runa, like, she understands like a strangeness of that. Like, there's always been the story that like he was possessed of a god. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
But in a moment, she simply understands that like all who follow him have like his visions and his thoughts and his memories possessing them. And that maybe God is just something that Vestin defined in order to explain him. Because the person before you is very human and very confused, but also like touched by something strange.
This is just a lot for me right now.
Um, He squeezes her hand. He says, I think I have done what I was brought here to do.
And what do you think that is?
He says, to meet you, so I would recognize you again.
Well, I'll see you then.
Nods. And Runa simply just like finds herself in the palace of the ocean, just like kind of taking a breath and finding like the place is strange because it feels like breathing air, but it moves like you're moving through water. There's like a heaviness to every step, and Runa feels fully like connected to her magic. Like unlike Len or Rosa, she still feels connection to like her Scaregen abilities. They don't seem to be suppressed here.
Yeah. Listen. I've also been up since 5 in the morning.
Both are fine.
Runa comes stumbling back to the world.
Yeah, with a Len that's eyes have changed color and a Rosa that is no longer marked by spider webs.
Oh, well,
Guys changed a little.
yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, Petrushka is, as a sign of good faith, not allowing her gifts into this realm.
So did you
And
also
grandmother's
lose your abilities, Rosa?
Yes.
Interesting. I still have mine.
Me.
It wasn't like that. It was an observation, I promise.
The one difference is Runa's wound is missing. There's still
Oh.
dried blood on her leg, but her dramatic wound is gone.
It's like, oh, and he got healed in there. Good. Well, I guess now we're just waiting for Gav.
I met Odin, I think.
Did you? What's he like?
Normal.
Yeah, I can see that. Gotta be better than Kolshay. All right,
It's
well,
a very low bar.
that is a very low bar. I was like,
Uh,
so I guess we're gonna just wait for Gav to have his revelation then.
Gev is slammed across the swamp by the Berschlingen's head, and he sees the thing moving through the swamp, circling towards him, and he sees his mentor like throw itself against the side. The same things that he saw before, the kind of like moment of like the bite, the way the poison just like melted his insides, and the way the hand just fell off of his corpse, the Verschlingen rising up, the moment that Gav blacked out, the moment that like fear and everything overtook him and he lost like what happened in the swamps. And he hears a voice speak in a language that he does not understand. It seems to boom and echo across the swamp, and he sees the Verschlingen freeze. And then he sees a very old man in a robe leaning on a walking staff walk around from behind him. And he holds the staff aloft, and the Verschlingen seems to like move like a snake that's been hypnotized. Its eyes are focused on the staff. It's not watching Gav. It's utterly focused. And the man reaches up, puts a hand on the snake's nose. He says, and he speaks again. And this time it's kind of calmer, it's gentler. There's like a stroke, like somebody soothing a horse. And the Verschlingen like and disappears into the water.
Do I recognize this guy?
So Gav is like in two spaces. One of them is like the Gav that was there, Does that make sense? That has no idea who this man is, has never seen him before. And the other one is like the awareness of Gav that is like knows exactly who this man is. Does that make sense? Um, and he watches the old man like reach down into the waters of the swamp, and he lifts out the hand of Zernith Metal. And he turns and walks towards Gav, and as Gav is kind of like reflexively like backing away, like this dude just commanded the thing that like murdered his entire Explorer Society crew. And Gav is like, there's sort of an awareness that like he didn't break, he didn't become like so like frightened in a moment that he like blacked out this moment. But instead, the old man kind of he clicks the bottom of the thing open. He turns it. There's like a glow from the hand, and he reaches and he carefully puts it over the stump of where Gav has lost his hand. And he sees like Gav knows enough about injuries to know he would have bled out before he got to safety.
Yeah, he hacked that off with a hatchet.
Yeah,
because it was rotting.
And uh, the hand seals into place. The bleeding stops.
Who are you?
And he says, Hersh. And then he kind of there's a look that crosses his face that is hard for Gav to read. It's impossible to say if it's like regret or remorse but it seems pained and it seems reluctant. Um and he simply like puts up a hand and you can see like a rune begin to glow across his hand. And then Gav is like the memory is like wiped away. But the other Gav, the one that is like knows who this man is, remembers the moment. And he sees that Gav is kind of like watching as like the old man like steps and turns away and like walks deeper into the swamp. And Gav himself kind of picks himself up. And there's like he still feels all the adrenaline, all the heart racing, and so it's natural to kind of like go into a run to get away from here, But he still finds his mentor's backpack. He scoops it up. He puts it on. And everything else that he knew like happened as it happened. He just that part had been cut from his memory.
Gav is even more confused about that day than he was before. Um, that was the Ruin Mage, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Utterly, like, just he keeps like in his memory, he just ran,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not running this time. It's like a couple steps and then he stops and he turns around and he looks. And then he takes another couple steps and he turns around and he can't not look back at where this man was.
Yeah. And he sees like this swamp that's like growing and kind of corrupting everything around it. The swamp that is like spreading through Heelgrund and, knows that like the wasting disease and, Stefan Heelgrund himself and, the calamity that's coming to this land in the form of the ghosts being unleashed on it and stuff like that. And it's like, there's an awareness that like all of these things are interconnected. The rot through Heelgrund goes deeper than a disease and deeper than a swamp and deeper than a serpent.
I think before he like looks back or before he turns away from the last time, he goes, "The center is rotten."
And Gav comes to in the palace or on the approach to the palace with the others.
He kind of like it's almost as if he catches his foot on a rock. Like
Stumbles.
there's a little bit of a stumble. I am so confused right now.
What did you see?
The worst day of my life. And an old man with a stick. And he says it in a way that, everybody that's standing there knows which old man, which stick.
So you've seen them now.
He gave me the hand.
Interesting.
And he made me forget. But Gav did not forget this time.
Fascinating.
There is something different about you, friend Len. Did you change your hair?
His eyes.
That was second guess.
Because people so regularly change out their eyes.
You're muted,
Wrong
Len.
night. Wrong night of the week.
All right. So we are going,
Whoopsie-doos.
the group is, there's like a throat clearing from the woman ahead, the woman in the seaweed. And she kind of, turns everyone's attention to the palace that she's continuing to walk towards. But we're going to cut from there over to the bear house, where Honorine and Hans are working late on, the projections and the finances related to putting a wall around Freiburg and what that's going to mean.
I mean, this is. Oh, what have I gotten myself into this time? This is not going to be easy. God.
No, it's not going to be easy. And then I don't know how this is all going to be paid for when nobody in Freiburg can even afford food. Well, half them. So I think what I was going to do is we're starting in Finer Hearth, right?
You're in Bear House and
That was
the
in
Bear House at
character.
the moment.
CSN.
Oh,
I mean,
sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I have the most influence around there, so it'd be easiest to begin construction around those parts.
Maybe we can go to, and I don't remember the name of the newspaper, but she's like, maybe I can go to them and offer to write something for them. That's got to be worth some sort of cachet. At the Gazette?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it depends on what you offer, I suppose. If you have some kind of crazy expose on a noble person, it could garner some interest. That is for sure.
I don't know about that, but I could write them some poetry.
I mean, art is also quite popular.
And
Well,
she's
we
gonna
Door to
don't
the
like,
Bear
get
House
material
and
for all of
bursts
this.
open,
Oh,
like the external door, and there's, I don't know, Hans probably has like immediate like hand and sword reaction as like Felix kind of stumbles in. He looks like he's been running across the city
Honorine
and
like
didn't
shoots
stop.
to her feet and like scatters like books everywhere.
And he
Oh
just
my
kind of
gosh.
stumbles
Felix.
over from him and puts his hands on his knees.
my God, Felix, you need some water. My goodness, where if you come from across the city?
He kind of nods, and he's like, "Fine,
Goodness.
What?
Ratcatcher's doing." Says
The red catchers.
Hans, his potion, and Gav threw me out, and now they're all sleeping.
What? Yeah, she's gonna like
Take a moment.
try to
Take a
calm him
moment.
down and like rub his back and
Yeah,
Deep breaths, Felix. It's
yeah,
okay.
he kind of like takes a couple
Catch your
breaths.
breath
He's like,
first.
everybody came to give the antidote to Hans Upman. He says, but then this gas started coming out of it, and Gav grabbed me and he threw me out the door, and the rat catchers ran, and they're still there watching over it, but everybody that was inside is asleep, like Hans was asleep.
as he says Hans, she like glances over at Hans and then like she
The
definitely
Taylor
has
Hans.
a moment.
The other more different one.
Yeah, no, it's just she just has kind of a double take moment, like, oh right.
No leg Hans.
It wasn't it some kind of like poison? Put him into a coma? What? Okay.
Honorine would know about it. Because she read on it with Runa and Ittori.
She did, but I don't think she read that they would all go to sleep. Like, no, I think she read about the poison itself, didn't she?
Yeah, she read about the poison itself, that it takes the sleeper to burn Vasail,
Yeah.
and they wake when released from it.
How, like, was it phrased in a fucking Fey way where it was like they wake when released from the potion, blah la 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 la, like,
Yeah, it was definitely like the language was definitely questionable.
Checks out.
And there was nothing in the book that Hattori showed that was like, and the antidote is, and how to make it. Does that make sense?
Felix, what did it smell like when it opened?
He kind of like rubs at his forehead. He's like, I don't remember.
Okay.
I was kind of in, that doesn't seem good.
Yeah.
It's good that you got out. It's good. It's good.
Paperwork will have to wait then.
Just another day of Freeburg. Anyway, so Honorine's going to sort of like get her coat on, and whatnot, and she's gonna like kind of make sure that Felix gets some water and all that stuff, and then she's like, they know where Upman was being kept or no?
I think Gav probably told everybody before going over there.
Okay. So she's gonna let Felix, she's like, here, maybe grab a meal with Sora, and get yourself back together. We'll go over there and we'll see what's going on, okay?
I can get something on the way.
All right.
He just seems very worried. Like, this is probably the most worried you've seen Felix.
Yeah, if you want to tag along, as long as it is, if we see any danger, obviously we'll get you out of there. But
well, and Honorine is clearly worried too, but like she's trying to like give him a chance to like get himself together and stuff. Like she's not just blasé, like, yeah, go get yourself some food. We'll take care of it.
No, it came across very much as like that she was trying to give him an opportunity to recover himself and whatnot. Yeah. But he seems like, no, I'm ready. You don't have to wait on me. So
okay. All right.
He does kind of like take a little skin of water that Veronica offers, but he like takes it like on the way out. And
she's gonna look at
the rat catchers.
So as they make their way through, she's gonna look at Hans and be like, "Do you think I should ask Hattori about this? He's really been through a lot lately." But
how has he been doing? I do not remember when I last saw him.
He went through a bit of a situation not long ago. A bad porte jump. He survived, but it was a close thing. He was trying to bring the...
And Felix is like, is that what happened over at the Parwell Mercantile?
Parwell sounds familiar. That's where they jumped from, right?
He says, I heard something that there was a jump that went bad and half the workers died.
Yes, it is.
And now the sorcerer refuses to jump anymore, which is sort of important to their whole business.
They don't have a backup sorcerer, huh?
Apparently they don't have a backup master porte sorcerer, no.
Yeah, it was a poor jump, and Ettore made it out, but half the workers didn't make it out. And the sorcerer didn't even want to come back to the city.
That's bad. Oof,
Yeah, it was bad.
sounds terrifying.
Yes. Well, Porte, for some people, seems to be terrifying in general. I never found it that jarring, but maybe it's because I grew up with it. I don't know.
No, there's many
Why-
a strange thing here.
What, Felix? What's happening over there now that they don't have jumps?
Hey, it's only been a day or so. I think they're just trying to sober him out.
I don't know that
Apparently,
it's.
he hasn't stopped drinking since it happened.
I mean,
Oh,
I
no.
don't know how many workers got lost, but it was a lot.
Well, and the other half of their workers are still there, from what I understand. He left them in Charus.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, not a light load on the conscience, that's for sure.
That poor man.
Indeed.
The arrival of the rat catchers, like when the doors first open, they don't see Felix, and so they're like, "Ah, sorry, we're closed at the moment, not taking any." And Felix like, and he kind of like looks down for like the opening in the slit. He's like, "Oh, you must be Gav's friends."
Indeed.
And the two rat catchers are, well, speak of the dough. um, they're kind of like physical opposites. Like one is like big and all shoulders, muscle, and the other one is like a little beanstalk of a man. And they work out of a basement. That when they like guide Honorine and now Hans within, the place is like filled with cages, only about a third of which are full. And like there's fully 2 or 3 dozen rats that are just sort of like hanging out in the area watching everything.
Can Honorine pet a rat?
Yeah.
Honorine 100% is going to scratch a rat right between the little rat ears.
Yeah, and you just kind of like he seems accustomed to it, and the skinnier of the rat catchers kind of smiles at that, and he says, "Do you like to feed them?"
Another
Uh,
time.
right, of course. And everybody is sort of like just arrayed in the middle of the room. It looks like they've put pillows under heads and like put blankets over them, trying to like make people comfortable. Um, but they're all here.
Are there changes visible? Like, are Rose's lash marks still visible?
No. And Runa's clothes seem to have been bloodied at some point. Len's seem to as well, and he also seems to be like bleeding still.
Okay.
That is a bit more than just a hard sleeper. I mean, you've been talking with Tori more than I think most of us. Well, did he mention any other details about what the hell this stuff is?
No, but I should ask. Do we still have we don't still have the person that sent this antidote or anything.
No, you never had them.
No, I know. Like, we don't still have contact with them is what I meant.
Let's see. I think the people who know where they are was Arthur and Runa. Runa had seen where the apartment was.
I could also look in on her, but no, I can't.
Not so much now, no.
Okay. So Honorine is going to kind of look at Hans and ask him, like, should we move them? Should we put them somewhere safe?
I mean, it is.
Is this safe? she's
Yes.
kind of glancing to the rat catchers, like no offense on her face, but like
Yeah, the rat catcher's like, this is a safe place.
It's probably best to not move them.
all right. Do you have bandage? Can we bandage up Len's? Can we check Runa? Can we
Oh.
check Len?
Yeah. And they'll go
Yeah.
get some bandages and such.
All right. So we're thinking this person tricked us?
It's possible. I mean, they were
And-
supposed to get sent an antidote. Yes.
One of the rat catchers says, as antidotes go, that was a terrible antidote.
Oh, that confirms that at least. I mean, yeah, antidote usually do the opposite. So
That seems more like they just gave you more of the poison.
It really does. It really, really does.
could you've
It
seen this
really
coming?
does. Oh, that bitch.
Hey, no, I'm not here, but does it smell like honeysuckles?
Yeah, there's the lingering scent of it in the air.
Yay!
Sure.
Yeah. Do we find this person who made the antidote then?
Okay, well, what do we know about them? I just got a glimpse of them in the under sewer.
I've got barely anything. I know she can change shape to a degree. She's very fast in the water. And I mean, oh, if only Arthur were not so busy. He would know most.
Where did we put the rest of the Relaskier?
They
Oh, yeah,
mostly
the prison.
fled. Like,
Oh.
this is the last year that you guys held.
Yeah. Shit.
Felix, do you know where any of the Relaskier fled to?
He says most of they weren't really like hardcore Velasquez members. They were hirelings.
Oh, where is Margot? Is she resting here?
She's among
She's
the
in it with us.
bodies, I think.
Oh yeah. Oh shit! Is she asleep again?
Yeah, she's
Hold
sleeping
on.
as well.
Looks down and sees her sleeping. Scheiße.
Bruno says, "Do you know anybody who knows shit about Avalon shit?"
I mean, we do, but he's in the middle of something right now.
Yeah. Our main source is quite busy.
I'm gonna go see if I can find anything at Arthur's place. That's the only thing I can think of.
So for lack of Arthur like being here and being able to describe what's at his place,
I'm sorry, it's hard to play around our Avalon person when we have an Avalon subplot.
No, that's totally fine. The has there been any connection between Hans's stalker and like Arthur's
that's
Avalon person?
Yeah, that's
The
been
same.
established that they
They're-
are the same person.
They're the same. We figured that out because I think we went to see that like the painting house and figured it out.
I don't think was Honorine in there? I don't think she was.
Actually, no, I don't.
No,
I don't-
Hans went to see it and he just saw the mural of him.
No, a bunch of us went to see it later. Maybe not.
I
all
thought
of
it was
us,
just
though.
Arthur who saw the interior, and then Runa who scried into it and saw everything that was there.
Oh,
And then
right.
I think she might have described some of it.
Yeah.
Okay,
that
so
makes
can we
sense.
start there? Can we start at those rooms if we already know about those rooms?
Yeah,
So-
Rather
that's
than
a good place
Arthur's?
to look.
So the thing that you know for sure is that she is in like Gertrude's residences, like the various apartments that she's rented. So Gertrude could probably direct you to the woman in question.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Yeah. Off we go then.
Felix, will you watch them? please?
Um,
Or would you
and
prefer
Felix
to come
is like,
with us?
yeah. If there's anything I can do, do I have to? We haven't had to feed Hans, but should I be trying to feed them?
I mean, if it is the same poison, I
I
don't
don't think
think they would need
so.
anything.
I don't
If
think that would be
anyone,
wise.
if anyone wakes up, let us know as soon as you can, though.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the it you head up to the area, Gertrude, kind of like based on the description, like it's almost like the blander and more nondescript the description, the more she's like, oh yeah, I know. But you know what I'm saying? Like when you're
Yeah,
trying to give like specific details, but the moment it's like she's just a woman, I can't really think of anything to describe him.
yeah. She just kind of
Like,
has like no like particularly notable features.
yeah, Gertrude directs you like, oh, she's up there. She's always been paying on time. She's been here for. And she kind of seems a little like puzzled as she tries to remember like when she first rented to her, and can't seem to put a specific like point in time on it. Um, the
Let's go visit her.
the
Indeed.
Okay, so I'd like a
No,
wits
she
and keen
would.
senses from the both of you. Or sorry, let me rephrase. What do you do when there's no answer to the knock?
Ooh.
Hans is the guardman here, so he's in theory got the authority. So Honoring is looking at Hans, like to see what he does. Should we go in?
I mean, is there any signs of activity just from the outside?
It sounds quiet.
Hmm.
Like you can kind of get up on tiptoe and like peek through one window, and you just see like a wall covered with dried snake skins, like regular
Gross.
sized snakes, right? Not
Okay.
not
Ooh.
not Verschlingeni sized snakes.
This odd, but and yeah, after if a couple attempts, if there's no knocking, he's gonna try and force entry in the least destructive way.
Okay, yeah, it's most locks during this time are
Sorry,
really
Gertrude.
most
Yeah.
locks in this time are really fairly simplistic. They're not like key based. They might just be uh, uh, like a simple bar that gets turned or something like while they're inside. Um, the in the opening of the door, it pushes open easily. Make a wits and keen senses real quick.
Can I use architectural awareness?
Yeah, I'll actually give it to you on this one.
Yay!
Oh, nice.
You get a +5.
Is it a +5 or is it an extra unkept die?
Is it say it's an extra unkept die in the description?
I'm looking. I thought it was an extra unkept die.
That's a 28.
Yep, one extra unkept die to notice.
Then you can have an extra unkept die instead.
Yay. How many am I keeping? I'm keeping that many. 47.
Ooh. Okay. So Hans, he has like all of like his hackos kind of up, but Honorine is the one who like she hears like the tiniest little like tumble of glass. Does that make sense? And her attention immediately goes up to where there's like a tiny vial that was like balanced just above the door frame, and she watches it tumble downwards as the door is pushed open. And there's just an immediate sense of like that's extremely bad. Um, so
Yank! Back out, maybe?
are you just pulling Hans away, or are you um like what are you yanking? Hans or the door?
Hans went in first, right?
Hans was ahead of her and he's like just pushed the door open. Yeah.
She's gonna be like, no, and like reach around him to try to yank the door back closed and pull Hans away.
Okay.
Like
Hans,
a reverse Felix.
Are you like just allowing yourself to be pulled? You're, I think, considerably stronger than Honorine at this point.
Yeah. I think I have a brawn of 2.
That's
And she's shouting. She's like, "Look out!"
yeah. If it's like a danger sound, then he'll yeah.
Yeah, he's got his
Suspect
own
a-
probably like
suspect a
sense of
trap or
danger.
something. Yeah, like
It's maybe not as like specific and isolated. You know what I'm saying? Like Honorine yanks the door closed. Go ahead and make me a brawn roll.
Me?
No,
Oh.
Hans.
oh, okay.
I was like, did you hear my brawn score?
Add anything? Just a straight like
This
if
number is
ability
getting
check?
halved that I'm rolling, by the way. Yeah, you get all the benefits of your armor.
Oh, what is that?
So that is going to be.
How many is that? That's 9 armor points. Okay.
Yep. So I'm gonna drop the 2 median dice off of it because or no, you lose 1 die, right? So I'm gonna lose the
yes,
9.
it's just barely still 1.
Okay, so
Which is
it's a
unfortunate.
46 of incoming damage.
Whew. That's 29. That's
Okay.
not going to do it.
Okay.
You said it
So-
was halved. I feel lied to.
Do you have tough, by the way? Oh yeah, that's
Uh,
right. I'm sorry. It does need to be halved. So the
Oh.
9 comes off, so that becomes
Okay. So 40,
a
46, that's
46
23.
halved to 23. So the
Oh,
29
okay,
does
so
soak
29,
it.
29 soaks it then. Okay.
Okay, so
I
you
don't
take
have
23
tough.
flesh wounds.
Oh.
All right. You kind of like manage to turn and like wrap arms around Honorine as like the sound of the glass breaking and the sound that you heard before of like what happens when an explosion starts in the market. Does that make sense?
Bitch.
The entire building, that not the building, but like the entire like townhouse that she occupied like explodes outwards to the point of like the roof coming off. The door hits you in the back and it's your armor like appearing around you that absorbs most of it as like you come down on top of Honorine with like the smoking door literally like atop the both of you and having absorbed and deflected most of the blast that would have like ripped
Okay,
you apart.
Superman.
Oh, God. Oh, you've got to be. Fuck.
And a deep voice
Slowly stands up.
with a Highlands accent says, "I really don't like that woman."
Whoa.
Um,
Looks around and like blinks really hard.
yeah, standing over the both of you is Mac. I believe Honorine and Hans have both met him before, right?
I don't think so.
Probably briefly a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I
I think
think-
Hans knew her as like Runa's like teacher.
Yeah.
But there was also the
I
point
think I
where
kinda
Runa
met
was
him in passing.
kidnapped by him, basically.
Yeah.
And I don't know if
There was also
Honorine was
that.
involved in that or not.
I don't think.
No, it was.
So I think
Oh.
Honorine.
She knew it
actually
happened.
she knew it happened, but I think she came to the party right after that, like right
Okay.
around that time. So I don't think she knows who Mac is. Like by sight. Like I think she knows who he is by reputation.
Yeah, he cuts a distinctive figure. I mean, he's tall and like shouldered and scarred, with like a pair of little like pince-nez glasses that are perched on his nose at the moment. And he has his hands around like a wrapped weapon of some kind. Hans and Honorine can't see what it is, but he's got it like wrapped inside of a cloth. And he looks at the kind of like smoldering building and
And Honoриne's getting up like,
yeah, he
that-
offers a hand to both of them to help up.
that was terrible.
Thank you.
I should have seen that coming.
Ugh.
Did not see it coming. Oh my god. And she's like,
Max says she's a treacherous bitch.
agreed.
You know this woman.
Clearly.
I've had my run-ins with her.
Clearly he knows her. And she's turning back toward the wreckage, like, with a really, really upset look on her face. Like, there just went the only thing I can think of to figure out how to get my friends back.
And people are starting to come out and like, oh my God, there's like a building. You know what I'm saying? This is also like the second explosion that's happened in the Dragon Nest in a span of weeks. You know what I'm saying? Surprisingly, it's leading to a very quick reaction over panic. You know what I'm saying? And also a quick like, was anybody inside? Anybody harmed? Are there any bodies?
How utterly destroyed is this just like a pile of rubble
Yeah,
at this
yeah,
point?
it's
Like fully
like
just
the only thing you can see are the occasional like broken like bits of glass,
Mhm.
like from the various alchemical equipment. But most of the rest of it, like walls blown down, roof knocked off, and people working right now to like extinguish the fire on like the next part of the townhouse.
Jeez.
So
Hans, isn't this the second time she's done this to you?
It's the second time she's blown something up, that's for sure. This was probably intended for anyone who came snooping, but
Max says, "This is not the first time you've run afoul of her."
no, it is not.
What do you know about her? She did something to our companions.
He says, "I know she's trouble. I know a bit more than that. I've had my own run-ins with her." He says, and I recognized her mark from the rumors I've been hearing around town, and I came to do something about it.
She's probably already gone.
Uh, she does seem to have that knack, but running her out of town does help with the trouble. And Hans can see, like, when he says, I intended to do something about it, there's a bit of like a squeeze on the weapon in his hand. He says, they, he says, were you coming for help or were you coming for revenge?
Uh, maybe a third option. We're hoping to gather some information. She's deployed a particular poison on other members of the council, and we were hoping to find a way to counteract it here, but
And Honorion's freaking out. Like, she's not like flailing around screaming about it, but she's got tears on her face. She's like kind of breathing heavily. Like, there's the adrenaline of like the near death experience. But she's incredibly upset about like she's sort of like nodding along with Hans and just like this is so bad. This is so bad. We need to find her.
He says, I've only known her to use poisons when she's leveraging something. She offers the poison and then something in return for the antidote. If she wants you dead, you're just dead.
there is also that.
Well, her antidote wasn't an antidote. It was just more poison.
He kind of his brow furrows and he says, "And what did it do to your friends?"
And has put them into some sort of a coma. He like turns to Honor. Did you read any more about it?
He says, "She's given them to the Fae."
That freaks Honoring out more. Like, she doesn't answer Hans because she's like,
what do you mean?
freaking.
How? Like,
He says, "We should get off the street."
yeah, fair point.
She's dressed as a commoner. If she was in like a noblewoman like clothing, she'd probably be like passing out from her corset or whatever. Like hyperventilating, like fucking just. She's like, she gave my sister poison.
Huh. Says, I don't even know what that poison would do so far from Avalon. He says, and so close. He kind of looks to the tower. He says, and so close to that.
They have
I mean,
strange wounds. They bleed. They don't need to food. They're just. There's
They
no
are
way to
still
wake
breathing.
them. Yes.
yeah.
He says, and there's hope.
What does it do?
He says, it is a gateway. It brings the spirit to another realm. Bryn Brasail, the land of the She. He says, but we are not in the land of the She. We are not in Avalon. And across the world, the rest of that place is just ocean. He says, but that ocean has a queen.
Ocean. That sounds. It's like outside of Avalon, you're just dumped in a nearly endless sea.
He says, in Bryn Brasail, the only thing we're thinking about is Bryn Brasail. He kind of says something under his breath in Highlands that you don't need to know like what it is because this is definitely just like a fucking curse.
Just a string of curse words, yeah.
How do we get them out? How do we get them out? Are they drowning right now? Are they in trouble?
Are they drowning? Are they cold? Are they coughing up seawater?
No.
No, they are breathing. Some of them have to develop wounds, but they're bleeding a little bit.
Says there are 4 possibilities. One is they found a safe place. 2 is they have been taken by the Queen of the Sea and now get to deal with the Unseelie. Says 3, they've been found by the She and must barter with them, or some other thing.
Is Hans reacting to the we should get off the street at all? Because Honorine is not and does not care.
I think like if Mac has said that, and he's like gotten up and started to like move away, but if Honoриne's not moving, he's just kind of.
She can be shuffled along. Like she's really, really upset and concerned.
That's fair. I think yeah, it's
she doesn't have Hans's calm.
Go somewhere into less prying eyes.
Are you okay?
So the last one is just it's going to bruise like a bitch in the morning. God.
Honorine's not laughing, but
Mac looks
he's got his entire back is probably a giant bruise under the armor that's like slowly smoking away. So they've been transported to another world, thrown in a giant ocean, and maybe kidnapped by. Okay, well, that's just great, isn't it?
He says the options at this point are to find someone who could make such a potion and join them, or if not, pray to whatever gods you find faith in.
She's gonna like look at Hans and then look at Mac. And then kind of nod and kind of move along with them, like freaking out slightly less because she clearly has an idea. She's not sharing it in front of Mac, but she's forming a plan, apparently. It's a very bad plan. It's not a great
He
plan.
says, "Where are your friends? I'll get some herbs, some things that might help a little."
What?
How do we know you're not her?
He moves the wrapping of the blade that he's holding slightly away, and he says, "Because if I was touching this, I would be screaming." And you can see like there's a blade that looks of like a very dark, ugly iron.
What is that?
He says, "Cold iron." Says anything of she blood that touches it regrets it.
Is that why you have it wrapped? Like he's not, is he actually touching it or is it wrapped?
He's actually touching it.
Oh,
Like
okay.
he puts
Okay.
his hand on it.
Okay.
You came for a more final resolution, I assume.
He says, "She does not stick her head up often, and I intended to take it."
Yeah,
Works
can't
for
blame you
me.
for that.
All right.
Yeah,
And she'll start
Yeah.
making her way to the rat catcher. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut
Are,
you off.
are
Sorry.
they
was gonna
telling
say,
Mac like to meet them at the racket catchers? It's like, "I need to collect some things, and I can help."
sure,
Yeah.
glance. Yeah.
Um,
And as soon as he's off and going, Honorine looks at Hans and she's like, I need the figurine.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, oh shit.
It's a
And
mistake.
it's quite a detour, but so we can go get it. Do you have a plan?
Possibly. I can try with my pendant.
Oh,
I just need somewhere quiet for
And he
for
like he
reason.
reaches into the pouch and grabs he puts the well actually no the hand is already on
yeah.
from the arm from the explosion. He just kind of like he wiggles the fingers. This could also work. I mean, I don't know. Just with a shot.
Where are they? Remind me, please.
Yeah,
They
where
were
we at
up in
right
the
now?
dragon nest up here.
Okay.
And so they'll be headed down to the rat catchers, which is down like in this area. So it's not hard to like detour by the
Okay.
Dragon's Tooth.
Actually, not
If you-
particularly out of the way then.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
So we'll cut over to them kind of like reconvening a little bit later. We'll zoom at the rat catchers. And Honorine will have had time to pray. Hans will have had time to get the figurine. But we're cutting back
Pray
to,
is an interesting word for it.
well, whatever you want to call it. Um, the everyone below is sort of being walked past all sorts of ruins of different creatures and lands and civilizations that have come before, up into the palace itself. And the holy crap, it's 25 minutes already, like time. um the the arrival inside of the actual palace is escorted by the ghosts of what looks like drowned sailors. They come from every nationality, and they're sort of like all serving as like an honor guard and in the role that like servants and like palace staff would be, and moving in amongst creatures that are at once human and also like utterly not so. Everything about them is a little bit too perfect, but there are also like tiny flaws unique to each one that differentiate them. I've used the analogy before of sort of like looking at an AI picture and then starting to like see the things that are wrong, and it's much the same way. It'll be somebody that's like gesturing animatedly, and you'll kind of like realize that like their arms are fused to their torso from like shoulder to elbow, and everything is just coming from the waist. And as you pass through different rooms, you see different, it's almost like collections. And you see a strange aquatic race that's like bound inside of what looks like a giant ice cube in one room. And it looks like a partially scaled the lamprey is the one with like the light on its head, like the deep sea creature, except it has like fully
Anglerfish.
humanoid limbs. What's that?
Anglerfish.
Angler or football
Oh
fish?
yeah, anglerfish. Yeah, thank you. Um, and and when you move by another room, Rosa sees it first. She sees Upman inside of the room, and she sees that he is surrounded. He's working on one of these women. He's making for her a dress that looks like it's like made out of fish scale and like seashell. All of like the color of like the inside of um, uh, uh, shellfish, that sort of like pinkish. There's a specific word for it that I'm blanking on at the moment.
Opalescent,
Mother of
kind of
pearl.
a
it is an opalescent kind of hue to it, but I think it's nacre, or I think that might have been said. Um, and Rosa sees like he's still like an elder Hans. He's the one that you know. And he's just sort of like talking excitedly. And as Rosa looks, she sees that the woman that he's talking to is his wife, and that his three children are sort of like playing around in the tailoring room where he's putting together this dress. But as she looks at them, she realizes that the wife is not quite perfect, that her eyes are the solid hue of the color that would normally just fill the iris. Does that make sense? As if the whole thing was sort of like a turquoise color instead of just the inner circles. Um, and Hans doesn't seem to be aware of the distinction of, like of his wife or of his children, that they're facsimiles of what he knows. He just seems to be sort of like caught in the moment of like joy and relief, and the happiness sort of comes off of him almost like a smoke that you can see the other creatures in the room are just breathing in.
Shit. Uh, Rosa kind of. Rosa does grab Len's hand. I don't know what to do.
We just lost Bison.
Lose Bison.
Oh no.
Well,
Looks like his cat. His he didn't lose his
internet might have
internet.
got it.
No. Doesn't look like he lost his internet because he's still in the game.
Okay. So might have just been
Camera died.
okay.
No, he just said, yeah, and we're out again. And the F
Oh.
word.
Oh no.
I think yeah, power.
Okay.
Mm.
Damn.
We'll adapt, and Gloria will do her best to get us back to my status. So what was Rosa saying? She'd just seen Hans here.
Yeah. I don't know what to do.
We
He's
can't
so
leave,
happy.
but it's fake happiness, and they're feeding on him.
Yeah, Margot's watching it with the same sort of intensity. Like she looks absolutely like stricken by it. Um, but also like in awareness that this isn't right either.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Rose just doesn't know what to do. And there's a part of her that she starts to tear up because she knows we have to make him leave, but she doesn't.
Len's gonna look around for a moment and then just kind of raise his voice and be like, "We need him back. He doesn't belong here."
Meredith turns from where she's leading them through the palace. She says, "That is my mother's decision to make. If you wish him, you will entreat with her."
can we at least stop them from feeding on him until we come to terms? I don't feel that it's probably all that good for him, and he's already an old man.
Um, she says he is not old here, and what he gives them will not harm him.
Right. Oh,
Echoing
bit-
through the firmament, we just hear Henri's voice. Right.
My phone was still unmuted. I didn't realize.
What? Hello, God? Huh.
Um,
Still doesn't seem right.
it may not be right, but at the same time,
His
if
joy
it's
is
not,
no, his joy is a lie. That's not really his wife. Those aren't really his kids. He's not that man that he used to be. And as cruel as it might seem to pull him away from that, think about it this way. For all his feelings about magic, would he, if he learned even for a moment that his joy was a lie down the road, do you think that would destroy him?
Margot says, if I had a chance to hold my family again.
Even if you knew they weren't actually your family?
She says, but he doesn't know that.
He should. He should have the freedom to decide.
Um,
I can hear Glory from the other room yelling at me. Just faintly.
Margot just, she sort of nods in her own understanding, but it's clear she empathizes with the position he's in and like doesn't know which choice she would make in it. Does that make sense?
and neither does Rosa.
Our situations are, at least my situation was very different from you all. I never had a family strong enough to really deserve the term. So I can't really understand what you're both feeling right now. I just know I would want to at least be able to make the informed choice that I know this is a lie, but it's still better than the truth, or um, or to not lose myself to an illusion.
Yeah. Margot kind of like takes a step towards that room. And Meredith speaks again. She says, it is time to speak to the queen.
They're not exactly in court finery, but so be it.
And Meredith kind of like snaps her fingers at that. And everyone's outfit just immediately changes to something sort of like you can go as Little Mermaid inspired as you want, but it is very much like an aquatic couture kind of thing that like wraps them. You get to like make up your own, you know what I'm saying? It is definitely probably uh more revealing than most people would choose on their own, but it also seems to be like that is the couture here. Like there's a lot more like flesh bared than hidden. And in a lot of cases, it reveals like gills and scales and little fins. Um, uh, and you arrive into like an antechamber that is filled with more of these creatures, more of the fae that are all aquatic that have like aspects of all sorts of different aquatic species incorporated into them, and each of them seems to be sort of like they'll pick one as sort of like a stylistic theme rather than combine from like multiple species. So you'll see somebody that has like the dark skin of like what looks like a manta ray, um, but that won't be combined with something else that has like scales and fins and whatnot. Um,
Hmm.
the queen herself is sitting upon a throne, and she's by several measures larger than any of the other creatures that are here. Rosa recognizes the upper body of like the kind of ghostly figure that she saw. She disdains any kinds of clothes at all. And she's as she moves forward, the tentacles of a kraken kind of like are what pulling her off of like this the seat that she's on and the chair that she's on. She has no legs. Her lower half is very Ursula, and moves with deliberation, like pulling herself across the floor towards her guests. Meredith immediately drops to a knee and bows her head.
Yeah, Len's gonna be polite and sovereign company and follow suit.
Rosa curtsies like she's been taught to royalty.
What is Runa doing?
Eisen salute and bow.
Um, Runa kind of just following suit with everyone else bows.
You see, Margot struggles with it. Like her jaw tightens for a moment. Um, and the queen's attention sort of like focuses on her, and you can see like more kind of like clouds. This is of like red, of like anger and resistance, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a resistance to the very idea of such authority and power, that's just really deeply ingrained in her, and the queen comes forward and inhales it deeply. And she says, "Thank you. It's been a long time since I remembered what it was to hate so deeply."
Great way to start this. I love it.
She kind of smiles and she says, "I too once fought a rebellion." And she studies Marco's face. She says, "I too once lost."
Well, that's that's a thing then. Your Majesty.
She kind of she gestures. She says, "Rise, please. You may call me Mahab."
Mob. Okay. Queen Mob. We did not mean to come here. We were led to believe what we were using was a antidote or a cure to Herr Upman's sleep that we could not break. And I'm guessing the actual intention was for us to come here because we have to bargain for his freedom.
She says, "I think it is a bit more complex than that. I believe that this one was meant to drown and die in pain." And as she says this one, there's sort of like an image that forms behind her of Hans, like in that room, kind of doing the tailoring and everything.
Yeah,
She
he.
says, "And his arrival so close to the needle, sparked my curiosity."
It is where we are from. There is a city there.
She says, "In the world you inhabit, that is a city far from Avalon, yes?"
Duh.
Very far. Though not so far that Avalon hasn't touched it.
Uh, She she says, "It is not my intent to keep you prisoner. I am no friend of the one who sent you here, or the one who sent the tailor.
That's good. I have a feeling we'd already be in pieces if you were.
She says, "No, I have quite appreciated your stories."
I'm glad they served a purpose besides scars.
Um, she she kind of smiles at that. She says, "I would share one of my own with you if you're interested."
Sorry, I just saw Corey throw up her hands. Just be like, yeah, fine, whatever. Why not? Give them a magical story as well as awesome sea people clothes. I'll just be up here almost blown up again. Me, 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 me. So, yeah, I would be
Why do
honored.
I bother muting? Why do I bother muting?
Yeah.
It is kind of fun to get secondhand glory.
Yeah.
Glory through the back Kyle filter.
We would be, I'm sure we would all be honored to share in your memory.
Um, she uh she kind of like raises her hands, and this entire room is sort of like the internal sides of it are like the same knocker shade, like the inside of a conch shell, kind of pink and white. Um, and as she raises her hands, they seem to like transform, and through them you can see like open ocean. You can see what looks like thousands of lost souls of like drowned beings that are just out there, trapped like underwater. But then the image of them begins to fade, and instead um, you see the Rosa sees the insectoid creatures that she's seen before. She sees them in full war mode. Um, and fighting alongside them are the She. She sees the Fey creatures leading against what appear to be sort of like an army of animals. They're fighting against bears and eagles and wolves and every like natural creature on the face of the planet is making war against them both. Um, and there's a sense to the story that is not actually like narrated. Does that make sense? It's just like sort of like through the observation of it, you're coming to understand it. As you understand that these two creatures like coexisted side by side, and you watch as like they kind of like stride onto the battlefield, and opposite them, you see Matushka appear, and next to her is another elder being that looks much like her. He has like white hair that's cropped short and a similar number of scars, and another on the other side of Matushka that like they all look like elderly, wizened humans, with that same sort of like motorcycle grandma kind of vibe to them. Like they've been places, they've seen things, they've got the scars to show for it. Um, you see like Draken descend out of the sky and are like, ripping apart like some of the flying Thelusai ships, and casting them down into the ocean. And the you see there as well, the woman that is before you. She's like still like half octopoid, and she's leading her own armies alongside the Thalisai and alongside the other She that are leading charges of like armies that look like the elves out of like Tolkien. Does that make sense? Like golden armored, ready to go. Everything is perfect and immaculate. Um, and doing battle with the creatures that defend Matushka and defend like the world, so to speak. Um, and then you see everything switches to two women, two of those golden armored women, as well as the queen herself, speaking with Matushka. And uh, the the three of them um, are being made an offer. Like you can see like a world playing out where they turn against the insectoids and fight against them. Like that the battle is not going well. The next time you kind of like see a big battle, you realize that like they must have rejected this offer because they're still fighting against Matushka and her allies, but you see one of them fall. And you see him kind of like clutching at like the wounds that are in his side and along his neck, his blood spilling out into the ground. Um, and as he does, like thousands of the animals that are fighting die with him, just instantly kind of like keeling over and crashing to the ground. Um, and you see Matushka's eyes light with rage and they light with anger. Um, and the the skies begin to shift around everything that you're fighting against, or everything that they're fighting against. The insectoid creatures, the she, they all they're suddenly separated, and you watch the land itself like ripped apart. Part of it going with the thalassai, part of it going with the she, part of it like remaining. Um, the literally like whole chunks of like trees and ground just like disappears out and like water rushes in to fill it. Uh, and suddenly the two groups are fighting separately. The thalassai are fighting against Matushka, and the she are fighting against Matushka. And they're both trapped in like their own worlds, and they no longer have each other as allies. Um, and the thalassai kind of fall off, like they disappear out of like the image that you're seeing as you see the two queens, um, golden armored and beautiful, uh, disagreeing with uh, Mab in front of you. And Mab she's gripping her own staff and she's speaking anger. Like all of this time, you've not really seen emotion on the creatures around you, except when they're like absorbing it, when they're experiencing it secondhand. And she is fury. She is filled with anger and rage and rebellion and compelling the other two, like exhorting them, like, no, we have to keep going. We have to do this. And then the next thing that is seen is the two queens bending knee in front of Matushka. Matushka, who now stands alone. Matushka, who has no allies left, no more of her own people. Um, and like a desperate, futile last charge from Mab. Um, and like the creatures of the ocean, the creatures of the land, sort of like rising up in resistance to her, and then the she themselves turning back towards against their own sibling. And they are blank. They are emotionless. They are robotic as they move in on their own sibling. And as they kind of like grip her and hold her down, and you see that sort of like same emotion that you've seen coming out of people that they've sort of breathed in and experienced secondhand, you see it being pulled by force from uh, from Mab. Um, and uh, or sorry, one correction. There's Matushka is there, and one of the other elders remains. Does that make sense? And he's kind of like watching over this. His expression is intense. You can see that his eyes are glowing. And then you see, I feel like I should wait just a minute for Rory to be back.
Slight intermission. Do 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 do.
do, 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 do.
Let's all go to the
as
lobby.
as she's being held, there is a sudden blow from behind, and a black two-handed sword pierces through the chest of the man that is like watching this process go through. Um, and you see, I'm gonna, okay, I'll rephrase so that Rory catches this. So the Queen Mab is being held down and her power is being stripped from her, and like the one remaining elder besides Matushka is like overseeing this, and then in the midst of it, a black two-handed blade goes through his chest, and blood like spurts across Mab and the She that are like holding her down. And you see an impossibly beautiful man, definitely one of these creatures, pull the blade free and then take the head off. And he lifts his sword and like a battle cry rings out, and you see that like those who are remaining, those who have not yet been taken, like the urge to fight, the urge to resist, comes up, and that is the battle cry. Tiwazog is the name that like echoes from the lips of those who are like still fighting. Um, and you see Matushka once again straighten, her eyes are filled with rage. Um, and you see tears just streaming down it for like the one that has fallen, and the battle rejoined. And Mob like sits up and she grabs his shoulders, and the the interaction between them is intimate, but it's also like familial. Does that make sense? Like the way she touches him is like a brother to a sister, not lovers to one another. But she grabs his neck and she touches her forehead to his, and you can hear him like silently refusing, and then her commanding, and suddenly his face kind of goes stony, but you can see that there's still like very much real emotion in his face, real rage, real anger, as you watch the last of emotion and feeling and like something like humanity fall out of Mab's face, and it takes on the same sort of robotic cast as the other two. As Tywasog turns and like runs into the darkness, pursued by animals on all sides. So quickly going around the table, um, what is everybody who's witnessing this? What is their like emotional reaction to seeing all this? We can't hear Gav, or we can't hear Len if you're talking.
Sorry, shock mostly for Len. You know, he's picked up bits of what's happened, like the real what's happened, as it were, along the way. But this is sort of it's a retelling of history and a clashing of forces that exist. They're not, you know, some sort of ephemeral idea out there of, oh, they're deities and such. They exist. They existed, and they were greater than humanity, but maybe not better than humanity. So that's what Len's got going on. Everybody else?
Runa is kind of taken aback by, well, the spectacle of it for one. Like, similar stuff has happened, but I don't know. And is processing the current information.
So hers is mostly like an emotion of sort of like stunned, but not like yet having an emotional reaction to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or it. I don't know what she'd be feeling.
Is conflicted a fair answer?
Yes.
Okay. What is Gav feeling?
Gav has almost no like cultural or historical like framework for this. He barely even knows the Sheed were a thing beyond some word that Arthur used all the time. So he's watching this kind of like a little kid watches one of Margot's puppet shows. He's fascinated. He's extremely confused. He can't follow the plot. And yeah. Yeah, he's honestly mostly confused. He doesn't even know like really who's who.
So would you say he's like invested, but he's not like
Invested like from an entertainment perspective and a little bit of an intellectual one, but not emotionally. It's more like, well, this is interesting. I didn't know
okay.
this happened.
And lastly, where is Rosa?
Rose's Rose in a weird place because she's the only one who remembers the insect people and how close they came to taking over Freeburg. Um so understanding that part of the story and realizing, oh, they used to hang with these people. Oh no. They're friends with our enemies. Oh gods, this is not good. Um and at the same time, so she's very scared. At the same time, she doesn't know how to react. So she's probably more like standing there in tears, trying to figure out, do I run? I can't fight. I'm thinking I'm pretty much dead at the moment. Ah.
So her reaction is mostly intense fear.
Oh yeah.
You see Mob kind of look at Rosa through the crowd. She says, "You are my guest. You are bound by the protections that brings."
That means nothing to her.
Say that again.
That means nothing to her. She doesn't understand that. For her, that she doesn't know anything about the Fae to know any of their traditions or anything.
Well, the Vidachi probably have guest traditions and whatnot too.
Yeah, every nation really does have like hospitality traditions at this point. No matter where you go, it's extremely bad form to kill a guest that you've like called a guest.
She'll have to see. At the moment, she's just very wary of this whole situation. Uh, her literal thought in her head is, I'm way over my head. I have no ability to fight, and now I can't even use my magic to protect myself. Ah.
And the queen says, "I have shared my story. You are guests in my court. You are free to leave when you choose to do so. And if you wish to entreat with me, to ask favor, I will ask favor in kind. But for now, I invite you to relax, to enjoy the amenities that are on offer in this court." And I'm gonna drop the curtain there with her like making official the invitation. Um, and uh we'll we'll go and we'll give our XP bonuses. But we're right at we're like 2 minutes out from it, and we've got quite a few people who are hurting. So I'm gonna try to like run through this fairly quickly. Um, RP rewards.
I'm
Honorine and
going.
Hans.
Yeah, I was gonna say Henry and Hans for getting blowed up and just sort of the
God.
whole tail end of
Mine
why are they
was for
sleeping?
honoring not getting a pretty dress.
Reparations.
But mostly I like their whole thing. How do we fix this? How do we help? Why did we get blown up?
Like, oh
Again.
God, what's happening?
It was a great lead to follow up on. It was just
Just happened to be trapped.
So yeah, I'm happy with giving Hans and Honorine a +1.
Thank
Um,
you.
And I'm going to give 3 for this adventure, even though there was some danger. So we'll do 3 plus RP rewards plus drama dice. I don't think anybody spent drama dice on
No.
this one. Let's see. I don't. Somebody know when our next break is? It's still a little bit off, right?
It's still, yeah, it's not until
Mhm.
I think
Still a couple weeks out.
the 17th of August.
All right. So we will see you guys next Sunday, and I'm going to close us out pretty quickly here. I did want to say thank you for everybody that's in chat. It's great to have you back, Fox. All right. Thank you for everyone watching us on YouTube or live on Twitch. Audience participation always means the world to us. And if you're on YouTube, smash the like, hit the subscribe, and make a comment in the down below. Here at Dirty 20, we always sign out with the same call to action. Be nice. Be kind when you have the spoons, but even when you don't, be nice. Be nice to strangers. Be nice to family. Be nice to your loved ones. Be nice to yourself. Thank you for coming on this journey with us, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Night, y'all.